This week on the StressLess Camping RV Podcast, we get to speak with Dave and Jacqueline Hudson of the Border Hookups.
Dave and Jacqueline are a musical duo who travel in their RV full-time, entertaining people all over the country with their talents.
They also recently hosted their inaugural Romp It Up music festival and campout,
which we got to attend, and they tell us about the fun and the fear of organizing their first RV-based music festival.
We have this week's podcast, along with the notes and all the stories that go with this episode, as well as deals, discounts, helpful hints, and more on our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com.
I'm Tony.
I'm Peggy.
We're two RV industry veterans who travel part-time
in a small trailer,
looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips,
tricks,
and discounts.
I swear it's still going to be small.
Okay.
I am going to maintain.
I think we may have to change it to just say in a
trailer?
travel trailer, or we'll see. It's smaller than the Titanic. Well, wait, that's a bad example. It's smaller than that cruise ship we saw Robert on last night.
Well, that's a very good point.
My gosh, the icon of the seas. Woo, dog, is a huge ship.
If you aren't a watcher of Robert Morales, RV Traveling Robert, he went on a ship with his wife and his mom, and there's a video about that, and wow, the size of that thing.
Oh gosh, I think he said it's the largest cruise ship in the world. So
wow,
the icon of the seas. But that's not what we're talking about.
No, this week we're going to talk to Dave and Jacqueline about hosting and planning a rally, an RV event. But before we do that, we wanted to kind of move you back a little bit to episode 276. It's only been a few weeks ago. We talked about the benefits of attending RV rallies.
Yeah.
And so this week we're going to talk about planning one.
Yep. Well, I'm sure a lot of you know, because we can't shut up about it. We are preparing for takeoff. It's November, whatever the date it is. It's the day I owe property taxes.
Yeah.
And we are taking off in a few days for Indiana to pick up our new trailer.
We have the fridge and furnace fired up for our frequent forays into the Forest River. Because, I had to get that alliteration.
No, I like it. That's good. And one of the things we do like that we have this fantastic solar and lithium system, so we don't think about, are we going to be able to run the fridge or anything like that? It just sits out where it sits out, and it just runs. And the trailer we're picking up, the one that we have now, power and lithium system, is available in the aftermarket from ABC Upfitters, but it was also chosen by Rockwood as an option, so you could just have them install it at the factory. Well, the trailer we're picking up, which is also a Rockwood, it's not available as an option just because of the configuration. So what are we going to do?
We're going to get an upfit.
We're going to take our trailer literally from the dealer over to ABC Upfitters and have them install a solar and lithium upfit, because our system has worked so well, and the people who we've spoken with have basically reflected the same thing. And so we want that same functionality in our new trailer.
Right.
So if that's the kind of solar and lithium solution that works for you, you can give our friends at ABC Upfitters a call at 574-333-3225.
That's 574-333-3225, or you can find them at abcupfitters.com, which we will put a link to, of course, in our podcast notes.
Yep. But one of the things you can, when you're having them work with you, you get to talk with them, and they actually have a lot of access to the RV factories. And so they worked with Rockwood to determine where all these pieces are going. And you really get a system that fits the way you camp. Do you just want a simple battery upgrade? Do you need maybe one more solar panel? Do you want a ludicrous system? They can work with you and ask questions and put something in that works for you. And the thing that I like about that is their systems just work because they're master vault systems. They come out of the marine industry where there's very little tolerance for filler. So once again, 574-333-3225.
Give them a call.
We're going to jump on the line here with Dave and Jacqueline, who are coming to us from where it's still sunny, not in Philadelphia, but in Arizona. So without any further ado, Dave and Jacqueline, the Border Hookups.
Okay. We are super excited to be joined today by Dave and Jacqueline Hudson, the Border Hookups. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us last week and also today.
Well, thanks for having us, and thanks for attending our event.
Yeah, so I guess there's so much background we should share with people. First of all, let's talk about you guys and the Border Hookups and who and what you are, I guess.
It's a great question. So we have a few facets going on. One is we have a YouTube channel. The other is we're musicians. Jacqueline's a health coach, and we have our event now, Romp It Up. And the name Border Hookups comes from Jacqueline's Canadian, and I am Canadian Light, which is Minnesota. That's where we met in Minnesota. Minnesota. And everybody thinks Jacqueline is from Minnesota, and I'm the Canadian because I have the accent.
It's so true.
But you're full-time RVers who are also musicians who travel around and perform at all. We've run into at all kinds of events, RV stuff, wineries, brewery, all kinds of cool events.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, we play some wineries and breweries and things like that, but we also are very fortunate because we have our home with us and we can go out, in the middle of the desert and play a Grand Design rally. Grand Design, they manufacture the type of RV that we have. Or we're playing upcoming the Quartzite Tent Show and things like that. So we kind of have the best of both worlds. We get to play those smaller, more intimate shows, and then we get to go play the big rallies as well.
I did not know you were going to be at Quartzite this year. That's awesome, because guess what? So are we.
Awesome.
Yes, you are.
In addition to living full-time RV life and performing, and you have some songs about living the RV life.
We do. We wrote a song called Living the RV Life along with our good friend Patrick over at RV Life, who threw some words at us, and we moved them around a little bit and came up with the song Living the RV Life. Yeah, it's fun.
You produced an event that we went to last week, and it was fantastic.
Fantastic.
Called Romp It Up.
Yep, Romp It Up. So Dave had the idea, to be honest, and we just said, yeah, let's run with it. And so I have to give him credit because he spent a lot of time working out the details on this event, and it went better than we expected.
Yeah, we didn't know what to expect. We just knew that we wanted to do something where everybody could feel welcome and paid attention to, and not to dive into my college psych classes, but I kind of realized that we followed the pattern of Maslow's hierarchy for needs, or of needs. And,
you're getting all technical.
And
now.
How it's all about safety, keep people fed, keep people warm, keep people care about people and genuinely care about people, and it created this community that it blew us away. We couldn't believe it. We could never have anticipated how well it would go.
And how far in advance did you start planning Romp It Up?
We started to talk about it last January, and that's when we came up with the idea and the event name and everything, and then it kind of just took off from there. And as a matter of fact, when it was over, Dave said, gee, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've spent so many months, the last 10 months just thinking about this and planning for it and living Romp It Up. And now, what do I do?
I don't know what to do with myself. I just go walk around the event center and just remember it.
So was this the first event that you've organized and put together, I guess?
Sort of. We have the pop-up concerts that we do out in the desert, and we sort of learned about Eventbrite and all that stuff and organizing that, or Jacqueline does all that. And we had done a convergence for the escapers here.
Yeah,
and
we hosted it.
We hosted it, and then they didn't want to do it again, so we said, well, we know the area, so we'll do it. So
right, and when we hosted that event, actually Dave did come up with that idea for the location and the event and everything like that. So again, I'm giving you credit.
Thank you. Keep going. I have time. You guys have time? You have a lot more to say about me.
And there was so much that I really enjoyed about. I think everybody did. But there was music every night from local musicians. There were hay rides. There was the Halloween part was. We are Halloween nuts. So.
Yes, you guys are. We saw your costumes.
Yeah, you look great.
And the number of giveaway prizes that you had was also really impressive. I mean, I really saw a lot of effort put into the organization of this event.
Yeah.
Well, we tried to almost create it as a movie, if that makes sense. So all of our volunteers got a script from start to finish, and everything that happened throughout the day everybody had a certain thing they had to do. So, in the morning, garbage needs to be bagged up and brought to the dumpster. Everything, our friend Nathan Andrews and our friends Jeff Cullum, they had to move gear at this time because this was going to happen. And so everything, I wanted it where nobody had to come up to me and say, what am I supposed to do next? It was follow the script, follow the movie script, and you'll know what you're supposed to do. And everybody, it was so neat just to look over and you see somebody walking across doing something and you're like, oh yeah, that was on the script. And if we had to deviate a little bit, that's fine too. You can't, things change, and we had to make some adjustments. And we didn't want to make the adjustments next year. We didn't want to say, oh, we'll do that next year. If it's something we could do right that second, we pivoted and made it easier for people.
Yeah, and as far as the giveaways, I'm not sure you guys have the podcast, but maybe not a YouTube channel, so it might be different for you guys. But we get emails every day from different companies who will reach out and say, hey, can you, do a review on this or that or whatnot. And so instead of, because we don't like doing a ton of reviews, it's a lot of work and you don't really get a lot of payback for it. But what Dave would do is he would reach back out and say, hey, this is something we're interested in, but we have this event going on and we're having a toy drive and we'd love to have your product to give away, and in turn people will bring toys, and then they get a raffle ticket and they might win your product. So he would just reach back out to people and they would come back with sponsorships. Some of them of course didn't, but that's where we were able to get such great prizes and things for a first time event.
The first year is the hardest because we didn't have an asset to show them. We didn't have a video. We just kind of had to explain it. And this year will be a lot better. We had Bob and Dang from Bob and Dang Journey, and they're great photographer, videographers. And you guys probably saw them running around everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I was originally going to run around and film. There's no way. Yeah. I never stopped moving the entire 5 days. And the most glorious tired I've ever been in my entire life.
Yeah, Bob and Dang, they were on it with drones and cameras, and they were never not, in fast forward in terms of shooting video. Everywhere we went, the wine tour. Oh, that was another thing.
Yeah.
Those bus wine tours. Yeah. That was really quite something as well.
I love that you wrote a
meet the Flintstones. We sang and Tony knew all the words.
Oh yeah,
all the words to the Flintstones.
That's my misspent youth.
TV theme song. I think
if it's a TV song from the 60s or early 70s, I know the words.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah. So I love that you wrote the script, and then you knew that people knew their job, and you didn't have to oversee everything, second by second, because as you said, it didn't mean you had nothing to do. You were still very, very busy, even though everyone knew their jobs and did them.
Yeah, I always tell Jacqueline this analogy. When I was in grade school, our teacher did a project where we had to write an essay on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And being in 4th grade, you just say, well, you put the peanut butter on. well, you didn't explain how to open the bag and take the twisty tie off and pull the bread out and open the lid on the peanut butter and jelly and put the knife in. And I learned a lot from that, because you say, okay, you guys arrive to the event, the attendees arrive to the event, the roadies, as we called you, and where do they go after that? So what happens? You can't just assume they're going to know where to go. So we needed somebody out there to say, if you need me to walk you over to where the lounge and registration is, I can do that. And if you don't get those steps in between, everybody kind of stops. The machine stops. So you had to make sure that every possible, even though we said, well, duh, they're going to know. Are they? They've never been here. And so we had to hit every single step. And the other thing we learned from other events was, it's fans first. It's roadies first. Everything should come down to taking care of the people that are here. And that doesn't mean Jacqueline and I hiding in our camper for the event and everybody else will take care of it. It's us being around. Jacqueline calls it touches. So come by and say, are you guys doing okay? That's a touch. Come in here and clean this up. That's a touch. So all these touches during the event, making sure that everybody is okay, is incredibly important.
And to be honest, that's the part that I think we find the most joy in, is we want to talk to everybody. We don't want to be, taking out the trash and do it. Not that we didn't, because sometimes we had to do that too, but we wanted to be available to be able to talk with everybody that was there, and because that's what mattered, that's what warms our hearts. And our whole, I guess, mantra is we want to build community in the RV space through music. And I think that's unique. You can go to other events and there's music here and there, but we wanted this to be a music festival, but building community that way. So anyway.
I know I absolutely loved it. And part of that was because of the music aspect of it. And it's funny, I'm gonna go deep in my past, but I used to do event production in Southern California for a good long while. And that's what I think set our company apart, was we would write scripts for these events. Yep. And like a wedding would be a 10-page script or something.
Wow. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, you gotta, and all our volunteers knew and they understood that we needed to be out there. We needed to be, as we say, shaking hands and kissing babies. We needed to be able to connect with people. And if I was constantly being pulled away from that, I couldn't do what I was there to do. And so all of our volunteers were amazing, and they understood that if I'm off, as Jacqueline says, moving garbage, I'm not connecting with you guys. And that's more important, to be connecting with you guys than to hauling bags of garbage. Even though we did. I hauled a lot of garbage, but it was usually early in the morning when nobody was out.
Well, that's how you can tell things are always picking up.
Assuming you're doing this again, which we'll talk about, would you want this to grow a lot, or would you hope for it to kind of always stay that same approximate size so that you have that ability to do all the touching? Because if there's 1,000 rigs out there, you're not going to get to see everybody.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great question, because we've talked about that a lot. And to be honest, we want to keep it kind of smaller. I mean, we want to grow it a little bit, but we don't want it to be huge for that reason exactly, because we've been to events too where it just seems lost. It's just too big, and we want everybody to have the opportunity to attend, but at the same time we need to keep it smaller. So it might grow a little bit bigger, but it's not going to be something that's huge, like you said, 1,000 or 500 rigs or something like that.
And to get down in the weeds a little bit, we have people who are financial people, and they're helping us put together, like, there are tipping points. A bus holds 56 people. So now you have 2 buses, but you have 2 extra people. So you have to watch that, because buses are really expensive for the wine tours. And then you have to look at what are your sponsors willing to come in at. And all those numbers they move as you add more people. Well, what expenses go up? What expenses go down? T-shirts go down because the unit price goes down. So we're having to look at all of that. But the most important thing we're looking at is making sure people feel they're still connected within the group. So we had talked about, when I first talked about it, I said, I think we should just blow out the whole fairgrounds, rent the entire fairgrounds and just blow it out. I changed my mind on that. I don't think it's not the work, it's the community.
Yeah.
And I think we would lose that. And I think we have to find that sweet spot to make it work.
There was one lady, I won't mention names, but a couple that came, and at the end of the event, I think it was on the last day, she said to me, we were really nervous about coming here. She said, we didn't think that we'd fit in. And she said, we were just super, super nervous about that. And then she said, and then I walked in and saw you at registration, and you were talking with me, and you guys made us feel so welcome, and all the people here, we got to know so many people, and she was just beaming, She was so happy about it. And that's when I thought to myself, we have to be able to talk to everybody. We have to include everybody. So if it gets too big, then you can't do that.
And that includes the dogs.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because that's how I feel like I made more like connections, kind of friendships, because the group was smaller. I didn't feel, I can get overwhelmed with too many people. And I didn't feel overwhelmed. Yeah. I didn't feel like, oh, I'm just going to go back to the camper because no one's going to notice. It was just a great number of people, and I mingled and I talked to people and had a great time.
Yeah, and then you even got to listen to Tony play the washboard.
Yes.
Awesome. That was great.
I loved it. He started to play that thing, and I looked at him and I said, you really do know how to play it.
The gloves.
It's not very often that I get to pull that thing out. It sits under the bed of the trailer, and it's not often that I get to pull that thing out. Because not that many people are that tolerant.
Yeah. One last thing on that too, and this sounds kind of weird, but I kept saying that it's because you guys know the parking area was away from the general area where everything was happening across that arena. And it's almost like watching, I had 2 paths set up. I didn't know how people were going to come over. And so then all of a sudden you realize the patterns that people move. And they all went across that arena. And I'm like, I had puck lights set up around another way in case people didn't want to cross the arena. Nobody used it. And I wouldn't have known that.
Did you?
Oh, you did use that?
Well, because of my knee being messed up, I didn't know if I could make that walk every day. And so I was able to use my electric bike, use the throttle on my electric bike, and get myself over there every single event. And because otherwise, again, I might have just stayed in the camper like, oh, it's too far to walk. I'm not going to do it.
And see, now that we know that, those puck lights will go back there next year. Yeah, so that's a lot of it is just listening to people too. I had my phone with me. That's another thing. I had my phone with me. And when I talk to people, I would say, how's it going? And if somebody had an idea, I was constantly putting lists together of ideas that people would say, like the garbage. Somebody said the garbage was a little far away from the center infield. As I said, okay, we have a wagon. We'll bring it out every morning at 10. Throw your garbage on. We'll bring it to the dumpster. That's an easy one.
That was a good one.
But instead of saying, oh, well, that's something for next year, well, no, that's something we can do right now. We have the ability to do that now. So I listen to a lot of people, and actually take it seriously because it's a big deal.
Since you said it was like 10 months of planning, and Jacqueline gives Dave credit for doing most of that. What aspect or what part of it just kept you up at night? Like, what did you worry about the most?
People being safe. To be honest with you, I walked around and looked for trip points, cones where I thought there might. This is the fairgrounds. I mean, it's not downtown Chicago. With the sidewalks are taken care of and everything. This was. If I saw a trip point, put a light there, put a cone there. We worried about people coming up on the stage. That was my number one. I used to run a wilderness camp, and keeping kids safe was my number one thing. The other thing, sponsors were a lot of work. Especially work with a lot of sponsors overseas. So literally, it would keep me up at night because my emails would come in at 11 o'clock at night, and then I would get up and go get back to them because otherwise we'd miss a cycle and we'd go 24 hours, and I needed to make sure everything was getting done. So those 2 things, yeah. How about you?
I'm going to be brutally honest. The money. I was keeping track of the money, and I was very like, okay, we can't go in the hole on this.
We bankrolled the whole thing.
We did.
It was all. We took 100% of the risk, but we had confidence. We had confidence in the people on the road, and we knew how important it is to find community on the road, and that's where the confidence came in.
But I'm the one that kind of keeps the purse strings, and so every time, Dave was trying to order something like lights or whatever it was on Amazon, I'd be right there over his shoulder. How much are you spending?
Well, and the other thing too is if you know that it's going to happen the next year, you try to buy things that you don't have to rent. So we rented an area light. Well, I knew that if I rented a bigger gas-powered light from Phoenix, it was going to be $750. Well, I'm just going to buy the light for a quarter of that and reuse it next year, and then I don't have to go rent anything.
And you were running that on a portable power station. That was the inflatable light. I was looking at that. I'm like, that's cool.
It was great, and the other reason you can move it. There were solar lights that would have had to go on these poles. We would have had to lash into these rails, and I'm like, I can't move those. Again, with the whole migration thing of how people are moving, if all of a sudden I found out they're not using that area, and I have a light locked in there, I'm wasting a light. Like we moved, we had a parking area for e-bikes, and nobody used it because it was around a building, and I realized everybody was putting their e-bikes right in front of the lounge. I'm like, okay, now we know that. We don't need to. Right. People want to be really central. They don't want to be around. They don't want to miss out on anything. They don't want to be around a corner.
Yeah, just like the lawn games were kind of off around the corner. So we noticed that people didn't really go there. So then we pulled them all out and put them in between the buildings where everybody was walking.
Yeah, you had a axe throwing but there was a line for that. But I was like, ooh, I want to try that.
Yeah.
Fun. Yeah, that was Roy and Phyllis's. They brought that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Was there anything kind of big and major that you're like, oh, that never occurred to us and we can't fix it, or it's the night before the thing is starting and we have to fix it and we don't know how?
I think the biggest challenge, to be honest, were the food trucks. Because we had food trucks cancel on us. A couple of them. We had food trucks leave early. We had, that one was difficult. And we didn't know enough about the whole food truck process. So when we would reach out and tell them about the event, we would tell them how many people and when we thought would be a good time, but we couldn't make any promises. They had to make the decision whether they wanted to come or not. So we did have one food truck where she arrived and then people had kind of ordered for a little bit and then they went off to do their thing, and then the music was starting at 6, and she was supposed to stay until 7, and then she started to say, well, nobody's ordering and now I want to leave early and all the things. And so Dave actually ended up buying like $80 worth of food just to be nice, and then there's me with the purse strings again going, what are you did what? Like, wait a minute. And then she ended up leaving early, so we just live and learn.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for me next year will be communication. We had have a private Facebook group, but not everybody looks at it. And so that was one thing, is I want to be able to, if something changes, because it will change, like the group photo, it changed. And so then I needed to let people know that, and I need a real-time, so if you guys have any ideas, a real-time communication where it dings their phone if I send it, not if everybody sends, where that's like ding, 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 ding. But if there's the big deal that's changing, I need to let people know. And that was a kind of a struggle because we didn't know the technology on that.
Right, we would have the sandwich board the night before and put everything on there, and I would take a picture of it and put it in the Facebook group, and then we'd post in the Facebook group and we'd tell people, word of mouth, please tell everybody. But that was a little bit difficult.
I liked the Facebook group. I mean, every day it was like, oh, when's the food truck coming, or what's happening today? And I'd go look at it. But
you're right. If people aren't as addicted to their phones as we are, they might not spend their whole time looking at it.
Yeah, we know where to go and where to look. and some people aren't on Facebook
Right.
or, but that's why we had that sandwich board too. And I guess we just kind of expected people to come over and look, and some people did, and they would come over and look and take a photo of it.
And what we should do is have 2 sandwich boards. There should be one
yeah.
over in the parking area, so people don't have to walk all the way over. Have one over there, have one over here, and on Facebook, because people just need to be in the know.
It's a good idea.
If we know, but they don't know, and we can't assume that they're going to just find out from a friend, or kind of have to. I mean this respectfully. Kind of have to dumb it down, because you have to make it easy for people, including us.
Sure,
Like
yeah.
if I didn't have the script, I wouldn't have known what was happening the next minute.
You didn't know what was happening sometimes.
I did not know what was happening.
I was the one that was writing out the schedule, so I kind of knew more when everything was taking place.
You could get somebody on a bicycle with a bullhorn and go,
There you go.
go to the food truck in 5 minutes.
Yes.
I was going to
Yeah,
do the Blues Brothers
town
thing.
crier.
Tony,
Yeah.
I was going to do the Blues Brothers thing where we just put the big speaker on the top of the old cop car and just drive it through.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
A golf cart with a big old speaker on top.
Yep. The Blues Brothers
I'd vote
Rhythm
for
and
that.
Review.
Like on Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, the mayor's car. You need to make the speaker do the...
Speak out loud.
Yeah.
Just old school. Like the oldest gear we can find.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's okay,
Well,
though.
if people want to attend, and I encourage you to, because we had the best time, where would people look to find the 2025 Romp It Up?
Well, we were just talking about that today and when we might put it out there as far as dates. We'll probably do a save the date first, and then we'll get it up on our social media. So once we have tickets, it'll be on our Facebook page. There'll be links, Instagram, and then our YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
So we'll have all of that posted, and we do go through Eventbrite.
Yeah, we'll put links on our calendar, but also links to your channels in the show notes so that people can find you.
That would
Because
Yeah, we're just trying to
even
catch
if
our
you
breath
can't-
first.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
We just
Even
gotta,
if you can't attend a Romp It Up, there's still lots of good reasons to follow Dave and Jacqueline and the Border Hookups.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that makes me kind of want to do this and kind of just enjoy the way we do it. Hey, let's all meet in a place and do stuff. And that's stuff is the official definition of all the things I plan to do. Stuff.
Well, there's a lot to be said for the different styles of rally.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I mean, we've gone to FMCA rallies where there's thousands of RVs and they're just huge events.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gone to RV rallies that are 10 RVs and they're very casual and it's good to know in advance. Like we went to the one in Arkansas, Camp Carpe Diem, and there's different activities and levels of involvement and focuses. That one was very beer focused, but also a lot of outdoor adventure stuff.
Sure, right.
So it's, there's kind of something for everybody.
There's something for everyone. And that includes as an attendee, and that also includes as a planner.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know that I have what it takes to be that organized to plan things like that. I am super excited that other people do so that we can attend them and enjoy all the activities that people plan, but I don't have to figure out how to make it work.
See, having done events in Southern California for so many decades, I still have this vision of putting on an RV event. So,
And we probably will.
yeah.
But for now, what we do is let's do stuff.
Yep.
And the definition of stuff happens as it happens.
Yeah.
So RV Life sponsored the Romp It Up gathering, and they are a great company to have as a support system for your travels. They're obviously a great company to also work with, and one of their main things that I use is RV Trip Wizard. I probably am on Trip Wizard every day practically. Either I'm looking at an upcoming trip, or I'm planning an upcoming trip, or I'm modifying an upcoming trip, or every once in a while, I say, oh, someday we want to do ... And I kind of start an RV trip with a few destinations on it, and then I just tuck it away for the future. But they're in there. You may not know it, but they're in there.
I wonder what she does all day long. But no, seriously, some of the neat things is in that RV Trip Wizard, you can find campgrounds and reviews of campgrounds, and you can say, hey, I only like to drive 300 miles in a day,
right,
but my vehicle gets 150 miles out of a tank, whatever the number is, and it'll help you with planning fuel and campgrounds and all the different things. And it uses RV friendly navigation routes, so you don't get in that low bridge video that's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's very important. The bigger your rig gets, if you're in a Class B van, you can pretty much go anywhere that anybody else can go.
Well, maybe that low bridge place.
Well, maybe. But, the bigger you get, your bigger trailers and your bigger motorhomes, you have to really be careful of what routes you decide to take. We try to not take interstates when we can, because that way we get better scenery. But then sometimes that gets us in places we shouldn't have been. So we always check our route now with the RV Life app to make sure that the route that we've decided to go is not going to get us into a sticky situation.
Yep. Oh, and if you were considering using RV Life's Trip Wizard or any of the things in the RV Life suite, we do have a discount linked below in the show notes. And we also have an extended trial. So if you want to give it a try and get used to how it works, we have an extended trial. And so that's the place to go and just, test drive it and see how you like it, and then make plans to come see us sometime on the road.
Right. So something funny happened a couple of days ago. I was just getting ready to text our friends Brian and Patrick to see if they wanted to come over for Meatloaf. And Brian texted and asked if we wanted to come over for Meatloaf.
It was a Meatloaf duel.
Yeah. So they, I guess, won the toss-up.
I think we
I don't know
won.
if that's winning. We actually won because we didn't have to cook. And they made us meatloaf dinner, and it was delicious, and we had a great time. But I wanted to just share again that I have a meatloaf recipe. The recipe that we use is on our website. We'll put a link to that. And it's... we might just make it again this week anyway, because
who doesn't like meatloaf, right? I mean, meatloaf is freaking awesome.
We ate so much that there wasn't hardly any leftovers, so we just need to do it again.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me a little bit wish that I was eating bread, because there's nothing like a leftover meatloaf sandwich.
For sure. This week, the RV of the week is the Keystone Reign, like the reign of a ruler, 15 RBS. And this is a brand new offering from Keystone that we saw at Open House. And of course, we have the full review both in video and written form at our home on the web at StressLess Camping. But a few highlights to this thing. It is a small, no-slide, single-axle travel trailer, but it's built very differently than just about any other trailer on the market, with one very big exception. It is an aluminum exterior, but it's a laminate. So it's aluminum, Asdel-like substrate, insulation, and more Asdel. Well, it's not actually Asdel. Asdel now no longer has the exclusive rights to that product. But anyway,
Asdel's a brand name.
it's like Kleenex,
Yeah.
right? So it's built differently, but it's got some real polarizing features. For example...
Well, can I ask, as an aluminum trailer, then does it look like a what is it called? Stick built?
No, it
with
looks
the
like a
corrugated aluminum?
It's a smooth laminated,
aluminum.
yeah, smooth aluminum.
Aluminum.
No, it's a smooth trailer, and it's painted, so it should look good for long time.
Okay.
there are some things that I know from all these years of doing RV reviews. You're either going to like it or you're going to loathe it.
Okay.
And so we have details of that and why you might think this thing is really cool or not at our home on the web at StressLessCamping.com, where we have our honest RV reviews. We did give the Keystone Reign 15 RBS a 4 out of 5 on our RV report card, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And there are some really neat features about it. But anyway, let us know what you think. It's certainly a different thing. And I know Brinkley is making a new offering that they're building using a similar process. So
Wow. Okay.
there you go.
The rain of the future.
That's right. The rain in Spain
Uh-oh.
falls mainly in the plain. Does it really? I don't
been
know.
to
I've never
Spain.
been to Spain.
Well, last week we got back in the habit of asking you questions of the week.
Yeah. Whew.
And so last week we asked, do you use your outdoor shower? And we had a great number of answers. Thank you all for answering. Some people said, nope, never have. And they probably don't even know how to open the cabinet.
If they do, can they get the doggone thing back in there?
Well,
That's the
right.
question.
Some people said they only touch that thing twice a year. Once when they put pink stuff in and once when they put pink stuff out.
Okay.
I don't think that we took pink stuff out for a long time. I was pretty much under the assumption that we were just winterized from 2 years ago and never changed that.
I don't remember.
But anyway.
But shows you how often we use ours.
Right, we don't know. Common uses, of course, were muddy feet, muddy pets, dishes.
Wait, how do people get muddy dishes?
Making mud pies.
Oh.
Stacy actually does take outside showers, which is wonderful. She just only does it when she doesn't figure anybody can see.
Oh, I was going to say, wouldn't the other people in the campground take notice? I would hope so.
But there are rigs where the outdoor shower is between two slide outs, and I have seen where someone will hang a curtain between the two slides, then they have privacy for their outdoor shower.
Yep.
Some other people said that they use it to release the water pressure when they've release from the city water. Mm-hmm. What we do is, hey, turn some water on in the house.
Well, now I put that Y on there and I just open the other side of it.
But that's
Why?
also,
I don't know.
that's also just a handy little way. And then that does put some water through it once in a while.
Which is not a bad thing.
Yeah. Dave and also Lori used Dave took off his shower head and he said that he uses it, connects it to the black tank flush, and Lori said her husband does the same thing.
That is a great
idea. I never thought
reaches.
of that. Yeah, now ours, we'd have to put a longer hose, but if that's just kind of a hose spigot, then that's a way to use. Plus it uses up your tank water if you're getting ready to leave or winterize and you don't want water left in your tank.
True.
It uses up the tank water into the black tank flush.
Easy for you to say.
Now, Michael asked if it was hard to get the thing back in the camper, and I think I misunderstood. I'm guessing now that you meant the shower head, but I thought you meant the camp kitchen or the cactus that was in the picture. So I think I misunderstood. Sorry about that. It is a little bit of a chore to get that thing in.
Hose is not very flexible.
Right. Now, there are new styles, I think, that are getting more and more popular where it's just the
spray
port attached to the camper, and then you get a separate curly hose like our Air Gear water hoses. Mm-hmm. So that'll probably be very handy. Excuse me. Wendy does plan to add one to their homemade camper van. And as Oren pointed out, it does save on gray tank space, which is the reason that we have used it not to shower, but to wash dishes and rinse our muddy dishes and things like that.
Mud pie. Better than meatloaf. Actually, no, it's not.
No, it's not. Nothing's better than meatloaf.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know meatloaf is 100 million times better than mud pie.
I'm sure it must
unless
be.
it's that mud pie that you
that
get.
chocolate cake and ice cream and see? That's how you get muddy dishes.
Yeah, I guess so.
So this week we're staying outdoors and we wondered, do you use your outdoor speakers?
Yeah,
Now,
there's a lot of rigs that come with the outdoor speakers, and I don't see many people using them, but everybody uses their RV differently.
Sure.
Everybody uses their RV differently. So.
Right. Now, I am going to ask that everyone be polite because this can be a polarizing topic. If you play them too loud, your neighbors... Okay. Be nice, everybody. Let's have a nice discussion about it. And that is our question for the week, which you can, of course, answer at our fun and friendly Stressless Campers Facebook group.
Indeed. And, we also do a once-a-week newsletter, which is free, and it has links to the stories and videos and podcasts that will help you get the most out of your RV experience. We are putting the newsletter sign-up form on more pages as we remember to.
Yeah.
So just visit our website and you can sign up. And, of course, we'll never share your information, and we only send one email per week.
That's it.
End the story.
You can also find on the website the show notes, and this episode is number 281. So just go to the podcast page at StressLessCamping.com.
And the show notes are there with the links and all that, as well as a transcript.
No.
Don't forget, we also have discounts and deals like the one on RV Life. And you can find those at our website as well. And of course, if you know of a deal that we're missing out on, we're always happy to share that. So let us know. There's a contact us form on the website too.
Right. Now, if you have any spare time after you've finished all those pages at StressLessCamping.com, you can jump off to the social places.
Yeah, and there are links to that. In the hamburger menu, you'll find a link to all the places that were social, or you just look for Stressless Camping and
in all
bada
those
bing,
places.
bada boom, bada
Yeah.
bing. Yep.
As by the way, someone asked for specifics on how to write a review on Apple Podcasts, and I shared that. That is also in the hamburger menu. And if you haven't already written a review, wherever you get your podcasts, we really appreciate those reviews very, very much. They help the podcast company, whatever, the
podcast overlords,
podcast thing, know that people are listening, and that way they tell more people about it. And the more listeners, the better off we are, and we can continue to get supreme guests like we had this week.
Yeah. Hey, don't forget to like and share. And thank you so much for joining us on our weekly RV podcast adventure. So, did you hear something you like? Did you find something on the website you liked? Remember, we really appreciate your sharing all that with your friends on social media as well. And that's another way you can help us spread the word, because you know what we want everyone to be doing?
Stressless camping.
All my memories gather around her. Miner's lady, stranger to the water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine, the tears drop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place where I belong.